Hey everyone, it's Chris from chrisbeatcancer.com, and I'm here with Janette Murray-Wakelin, author of the book Raw Can Cure Cancer and the upcoming book Running Out of Time, Running Raw Around Australia. Now, please make sure you watch the first half of this interview, our first video, and I'll put a link to it below this video. This is where Janette talks all about healing cancer using a raw food diet, tons of juicing, and exercise, and just a total holistic program. And that was 13 years ago. She's a 13-year terminal breast cancer survivor. Healed it with nutrition, okay? That's in the other video, right? Okay, in this video, or part two of our interview, I guess I should say, I want to talk about your marathon running because you and your husband ran 366 marathons in a row, ran a marathon every single day for 366 days. You are the world record holders, right?
Yes.
So, do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 65.
65 years old, making me look like the most unhealthy, out-of-shape person, right? People think I'm pretty healthy and fit, but there's no way I could do that. I mean, I hate to say there's no way. Maybe there's a way. But that is so incredible. What led you to even attempt this?
Well, basically it's going back to the whole cancer diagnosis that I had had 13 years earlier. And after that, and after curing myself, I wanted to share that information and experience that I'd had with as many people as possible to get that information out so people can make their own informed choices. And so my husband and I set up a wellness center. And I developed lifestyle programs, and we had people coming. So for 6 years we did that, and we had a raw vegan restaurant and everything in the center. And just sort of sharing as much information as we could. But I always felt like I was running out of time to reach enough people.
Yeah.
And, like in a whole day, I would do free consultations all day long until, after a while I had to start charging for them. But it was like all day long I was doing consultations, and we had to employ a lot more people in the center because I was just talking with people all day long. But there's just not enough time to get to everyone. So
right.
I started to think about what we could do that would be on a much larger scale to show by example what's possible. And at that time, we had decided to move to Australia. And before that, we were living in Canada, and I was thinking, what about if I kind of ran right across the country and just spoke to everybody all the way across the country? And so that sort of idea was in mind because earlier, in the year 2000, we'd run the length of New Zealand, which was 50 marathons, consecutive marathons.
Okay.
And so it was only 2,000 kilometers.
So, big deal.
Yeah.
Now, did you do that 50 days in a row, or
yes,
pretty
we did.
close to it?
Yeah, they were 50 days in a row.
Yeah.
So they were consecutive marathons. But what we'd done that to raise, that was for a charity run, so we were raising awareness for charity. But I thought, well, I don't see any reason now that I've discovered this wonderful way to be healthy with food and lifestyle, why you couldn't just run forever, really. Why not? So if you have the time.
Yeah.
So when we decided to move to Australia, I suggested to Alan that we run around Australia, and he said, "Well, that's a big undertaking. We'll have to think about that." So as soon as we got to Australia, I started telling everybody that we're going to run around Australia, and he said, "You have to. We have to sit down and look at this because you can't keep telling people we can do this.
We need a map."
So we got out the map. And sure enough, it's a long way.
Yeah.
It's 16,000 kilometers, which when he said, this is too much. It would take a long time to get around there, and it's a long way to go. And I said, well, wait a minute. And I did a quick calculation, and I said, you know, that's 365 marathon distances. That's what it calculates out to. And so we could just go and run there for a whole year, all the way around.
Now, are you talking about you ran the entire circumference of
that's correct.
Of the island?
Of the country.
The country,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, of the continent. So, so we didn't just go and run a marathon here and a marathon there. We actually started in one spot in Melbourne and Victoria, and we went around the circumference of the whole country, all the way around the edge, including Tasmania, which is that little island at the bottom. We went down and did that too, because it's actually part of the country. So, especially the Tasmanians will tell you that. So, and it just calculated out to that many kilometers. So, it was a done deal so far as I was concerned. I said, this is fantastic because it gives us a whole year to be out there showing in a progressive way how you can do pretty much anything, or you can do things that might be considered impossible.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of messages here. There was to do with setting a goal and sticking with it and focusing and putting in the, what you need to achieve your goal. And so that can be related to everybody in any sphere, people in business, kids at school,
yes,
everything. Persistence and, being focused and staying with the program, never giving up. So that was one part of the message. The other part, of course, which was obvious, was the lifestyle that we live, which is a conscious living lifestyle. So it's not just about the food, which is raw vegan, but the reason why we eat raw vegan food. The obvious health reasons that we've spoken about, but also the kindness and the compassionate reasons of not eating other beings or having, being a part of them being treated in a cruel way. And there is no humane way of killing anything, basically. So, and the fact that you don't need to eat this to be healthy. So there was a lot of different parts of that to the message. And also the fact that, thinking more kindly and naturally about the planet and where we live. I mean, this is our home. We don't have another one to go to. We can't trade it in, just like our bodies. You've got what you've got, and so we need to take care of it. And so that was also another very important message, and that also is connected to raising animals for human consumption, which is not environmentally sustainable. Plus, there's all the emissions, from raising animals. So, and having the agribusiness having gone to the point of factory farming is just beyond comprehension to me, and totally, it's not something that humans in our intelligence should be doing. So, what we wanted to show was those three facets of what's possible if you think more consciously about everything. So not just what you're eating, but also how you're thinking and how you're acting in your life, in your lifestyle. And to do that for a whole year in one country, which would give us the opportunity to be in the media for a long time and reach more people, not just within this country, but worldwide. And that's exactly what happened. And we knew that by, continuing on throughout that year, it would get more and more interesting. So when we first started, there was a lot of interest in the news because here's these couple of grannies saying they're going to run for a marathon a year. Yeah, isn't that great? Maybe
they're like, good luck with that.
Oh, good on them. That's great. So that got a lot of news. And then off we went, and people forgot about us. Well, not everybody, because we did, we have a Facebook page and a website, and we did have a lot of followers. And then after we got to about halfway around, people started to realize that this wasn't going to stop, that we were going to keep going. And not only that, but we were getting healthier and as we were going. And I kept saying in my interviews, well, every step of the way, we're getting younger. So, and right. We feel that way. And,
so let me ask you some questions that I'm dying to know the answer to, and
sure.
I'm sure people watching this will be too. So, first of all, were you sore?
Basically, no, not as people tend to think with, with exercise. And there were several reasons for that. The main one is the nutrients from the food that we eat keep us rejuvenating and as we run. So we have no recovery time. Basically, we're already recovered by the time we finished a marathon. And it sounds, pretty hard to believe, but clearly it works because that's how many we did in a row. And
you pulled it off, right? So there was never a point in this year. I mean, obviously you kept going for a year, so it never got too difficult to stop. But was there ever a point where it got difficult and you got through it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, every single day was different. Every day we had different terrain and different weather conditions. So every day was different. The majority of the time, it was just wonderful. We're running through the most amazing landscape and meeting wonderful people and animals and so on. But the weather was one of our major factors that did contribute to it being a tough day or more of a challenge than other days. And so we did have times when we were running, when we first started, of course, it's a very big country and it's a whole year, so that's 4 seasons we had to run through. And we planned it so that we could be in the right place at the best time.
Yeah.
So in the north of the country, it can be extremely hot during summer. We didn't want to be there, so we planned it so that we went across there at the coolest time, which is in the 30s, 30 degrees. That's the coolest time. So that's winter.
That's cool.
So, so sorry, I can't translate it to Fahrenheit at this point, but I'm sure you get the idea. It's relatively warm. It's about the, normal summertime in the States. Yeah. So when we started off and went up the East Coast first, heading north, that was during summer, so that was in the heat. So we thought, well, we'll just take the worst thing first. And then we can do the recovery afterwards.
Yeah.
So we were running in 44, 48 degree heat some days, and it was also the hilliest part. So we got everything over and done with in the beginning. And we certainly had some days there where we never really thought we wouldn't do it, but it was slower on those days. We had to take more breaks. We had to have more water stops. There were some times there where we carried water in bottles, and there were times when that water would go from being freezing out of the freezer to boiling hot, too hot to drink within about 15 minutes.
Just from being outside.
Just from us running cold. Yeah. So there was a lot of logistics going on there we had support crew, 2 people with us all the time. Mm-hmm. They were driving the 2 vehicles and keeping us watered and fed and unzipping our bananas on the way. So, so there were those challenges for sure. And then there were days when at the end of the day, it had been a challenging day. So we were thinking, oh my God, how are we going to do this again tomorrow?
But, right.
But in the morning, we got up at 3:45 every morning, and so try that for a couple of years. I
couldn't do it for a week.
Because of course, the year before we were in training, we did the same thing. We just didn't run a marathon every single day, just once a week, but we ran every single day for the year beforehand, getting up at 4 in the morning, so that the body was used to that whole process.
Yeah.
So we would, get up in the morning, and sometimes
and how long was what was your pace like? So I know, I'm sure it varied from day to day, but typically, what was your pace?
We averaged about 6 to 6.5 hours running time every day.
Yep.
So around about 7 minute mile pace. So it wasn't fast, but it wasn't slow either.
Well, when you're running a marathon every day, you got to pace yourself, right?
And also, when we first started, we had a lot of media coverage throughout the day. So sometimes we were actually on the road for about 10 to 12 hours with running and doing interviews and stopping for people coming and talking to us and that sort of thing. So that also made it somewhat stressful on the body especially. But we still managed to be able to recover during the night. So long as we got sleep, and that's a really important part of your health, program, is getting enough sleep. So we tried to get at least 9 hours sleep every night if we could. Sometimes it didn't work out because Australia is a very big country. As if you ever look on a map, this is a long way around. And there's a lot of areas out there that are remote, so remote that there's no communication available. So sometimes we went, well, I think the longest we went was 2 weeks without any internet or phone communication. And so then when we would get it, it might be 1 day's worth, or you wouldn't know. So when we did get internet, I would stay up all night long, catching up on the Facebook page and the website. And so sometimes in those instances, I would get maybe 2 or 3 hours sleep before we had to get up again and run again. And so on those days, I was running a little slower and a little more quiet. So I wasn't speaking as much. I was just trying to focus on keeping one step ahead of the other.
I just cannot even believe that. It's so incredible.
So a lot of discipline. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about your diet during the run. Like, what exactly were you eating?
Well, going up the East Coast, there's a lot of, it's going up into the tropics, and so there was a lot of wonderful fruit, and it was summertime. So we ate fruit, just tons and tons of fruit. So all the tropical fruits you can think of, as well as, you know, oranges, bananas, and apples, and the normal fruits that everyone can get. We were just eating as much fruit as we possibly can. Every morning we would have a smoothie, so we'd blend up some, actually we'd start, before we started running, we'd blend up some grapefruit and bananas and just have a drink of that and get running. Then the crew would catch us up at about 15K, and they'd have a really nice big green smoothie for us. So, you know, those fruits again with lots of greens in there, blended. And that would usually keep us going for up to about, when we got to about 30, 32K mark. And then we would have usually fruit, like either fruit salad, lots of fruit mixed up together, or just one particular fruit. So we might sit down and eat 10 oranges, or as many as we felt satiated and we were okay and we could keep going. This is very different when you're doing a marathon every single day for a year. Consecutive marathons is different to running one marathon, because with one marathon you can build up to it, and you can, you know, really load up on your good carbs just before the event, and you can recover after the event. Whereas we had to make sure that we were in recovery mode all the time, and so we had to be eating all the time. So we did stop, you know, every 15 or so kilometers, or sometimes, depending on if we had bad weather, it might be every 10 kilometers, and making sure that we were having bananas and water, or some other fruits. So we were eating a lot more than you would normally eat in a normal day.
Yeah, I can understand. But it sounds like it was probably 80-90% fruit, right?
Yes, at that point. Then we got into areas in the north of the country and also in the south of the country where there is no food available at all. So you have to stock up before you go. Now, mostly people are driving across those vast areas. We were running, and because we were only running a marathon a day, it meant that it took us a lot longer to go that distance. We had to really stock up on our fruit and veg. And in some cases, it had to be fruit and veg that would keep long enough. So fresh, you know, or soft fruits or fresh greens didn't keep very long. So we'd maybe have those we'd run out of those within the first week. And then we might have another 2 or 3 weeks of having more, not as perishable food. So things like carrots, beets, cabbage, you know, making lots of coleslaws instead of nice fresh greens. So that was very different, and it was making quite a difference to our nutrient level as well. So it was not as high as, especially, you know, from a fuel perspective, the high sugar perspective. So we thought ahead of time, and we dehydrated a lot of bananas. 2,000 actually. So we took 2,000 dehydrated bananas with us. Wow. And we went through those when we couldn't get the fresh bananas. We also had dates, and we put one date into our bottle of water, so we were drinking Datorade. so that was, you know, we're always getting that that fuel source as well. So we had to adjust and you know, look at the diet as we went around, purely because of the circumstances of where we were. But it worked out fine. Coming across the bottom, that is really completely remote, and that took us 27 days at a marathon a day. And so for 27 days, we thought we had enough food for 27 days, but at 24 days, we ran out. So, so this is quite classic, really. But we had done the research, and at day 25, we should have reached a place where there was a store, and we'd be able to maybe, you know, just get enough fruit and veg to get us through those last 3 days. But when we got there, it had been closed for 2 years. So
yeah,
so that was a bit of a problem. So we had the last 3 days of that run across the bottom, where all we had left was chia seeds, a bag of organic raisins, and a bag of organic almonds. And so we made almond milk and chia pudding with water, of course, we had. And that's what we had for 3 days, 3 times a day for 3 days, running a marathon every day on that. And it was fantastic. It was like 3 cheers every day. It was great. and
amazing.
And the other thing too was that that was coming towards the end, so we had, you know, only a few weeks to go to finish. And during that time, our times got faster. We ran you know, it in shorter time, and we were definitely feeling a lot stronger. So where a lot of people would think we were getting more tired by the amount of marathons we were doing at that point, we were actually getting stronger, and we could see inside, so to speak. So we were pretty excited about, you know, getting to the finish and seeing a family we hadn't seen for a year and all that kind of thing. So we had a lot of incentive. But I think, you know, when we were talking about focusing and staying disciplined, I think if you have a goal, but you have a purpose to the goal, then that's what makes the difference. And not only did we have the purpose of sharing this information with as many people as possible, we were also sharing information and awareness about 4 different charities. And those charities were to do with animals, children, people with disabilities, and people with, well, with health, with ill health. So people that different charity groups that were helping actively in those different areas. And for us, that was a real commitment to bring that awareness out for as many people as possible. So when you just talk about little things that, you know, a lot of people say, wow, I never thought of it that way. Or I never, you know, different things like that, that we were just bringing out that information to help people to think more compassionately and live a more conscious lifestyle, so that every choice we make, and throughout life, that's what it is. It's just a lifetime full of choices.
That's right.
That every choice we make is a conscious choice, that we think about the choice we're making. And that way, the response or the end result of that choice can be quite different than if you're not thinking about it. So
yeah, all your
that was
choices
the
in
idea.
life, all your choices in life add up. And something I say often is, you know, where you are in life right now is the result of all the choices you've made. And if you're at a place, you know, if your life is a mess and it's terrible, guess what? You have a choice. Either you can say, I'm a victim and, you know, none of it's my fault. Or you can say, you know what? A lot of this is my fault. Maybe not all, but a lot of it is. And if it is, then that empowers you to change, right?
Absolutely. And you can choose to be different. You can choose a different life. And from one of the things I say is that you can choose to live this life or not. And really, you know, living your life in being vibrant and healthy, then you will perhaps discover the purpose. But just sort of cruising through and you know, taking what comes, or maybe even creating a situation that wouldn't otherwise be there if you thought more consciously about it, then you know, what is the purpose? So there is a purpose for us to be here. as yet I haven't discovered it, but I know it's going to be good when I find it. So I'm very excited, you know, and it's wonderful to be vibrantly healthy and to know that you're getting more healthy as you get older. So in my opinion, there's no such thing as aging. It doesn't have to happen. You can get older in years by having been here longer, but during that time you can be as healthy as when you're, you know, in your younger years, and certainly have more experience and therefore be able to, you know, do more. And that's kind of where we're going with it. So when we finished the marathon, the 365, a few weeks before that, actually a couple of months before that, we had discovered that someone had, well, there was a world record for 365 consecutive marathons. A guy in Belgium had done that, and it wasn't a marathon every single day like what we did, but it was considered consecutive. So we thought, well, I guess then we need to do one more. So that's where number 366 comes in. We did on January the 1st. Then we went out and did another marathon together, and we had a lot of people with us. It was kind of like Forrest Gump relived,
yeah,
where we had a lot of people coming and joining us, and huge amount of media coverage. Because what do you know? Those grannies actually did it. They actually did what they said they were going to do and achieved something that was considered unachievable, and so that went worldwide. And ever since, we've had, you know, over 6 months now since we finished, we've just been inundated with media interviews and speaking events, which is wonderful. And we're, you know, and it's worldwide. It's not just in Australia. So,
well, of course, hey, look at me.
Just,
I'm interviewing you.
There you go, yeah.
You know?
And we've just come back from Canada speaking at Idea City, which is like TED Talks. And we are now, this Saturday, coming across to New York, and we'll be in New York and at the Woodstock Fruit Festival for 2 weeks. Then we're going to Hong Kong, and we're speaking at a raw vegan festival there. And then we come back to Australia, and the book that you mentioned, my second book, which is called Running Out of Time, appropriately, is based on the run. And we're releasing that when we're in New York. When we get back to Australia, it'll be ready to do an Australia tour. So we're going out there to around Australia again to take the book and to preview the documentary. So we've been approached by a film company who are based in Sydney and LA, and they want to do a documentary based on the run, but more on the message and, you know, what that can bring for everybody. So we have to go out and basically rerun all the good bits. So we're going out on location. We'll be doing some filming with really cinematic standard, really bringing a beautiful film together, so that will be going to the film festivals and into cinemas and bringing that message out to everybody. So we're working on that one as we speak. And that will be happening as soon as we get back, and hopefully it'll get to Cannes Film Festival by April.
That is all so exciting. I'm really, really happy for you, and so thrilled we could do this interview. Thank you for taking the time to do it, and I know my audience is going to just love this so much. So tell me where people can find you. Yes.
Well, we have a website, and it's very easy to remember if you remember what we've done. So it's www.runningrawaroundaustralia.com.
Okay.
So raw as in R-A-W.
Yes.
runningrawaroundaustralia.com. That's our website. I also have a personal website called rawcancure.com, and that's more on to do with the cancer side, and it has the information about my book, Raw Can Cure Cancer. On the runningrawaroundaustralia.com, there's a link through to our Facebook page, and that's basically Facebook Running Raw Around Australia 2013. And we've got a lot of people following us on that. They're still following us because we've got lots of speaking events coming up, and who knows, we might be coming to your area, so we'd love to meet up with everyone. So please keep in touch with that, and also to keep in touch with what's happening with the film. We're going to be interviewing other people as well as ourselves, different people that have had similar situations like yourself, and maybe we'll do a Skype interview with you too, unless we make it to where are you, Tennessee?
I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're definitely going to be sending our cameras out from LA and doing some interviews there, and really putting together something that is going to be. There's a lot of movies out there now, a lot of documentaries out there now that bring these different issues to the fore. But what we want to do is a really positive, beautiful message, so people see the positivity of living a conscious lifestyle. And so that's what we're doing now. So keep in touch with us through our websites and our Facebook pages. And with the film, yeah, you never know, there could be a camera coming your way. So keep in touch. Keep in touch.
This has been so great. Thank you again, Janette. I'm so pleased to know you. And everybody, yeah, check out her website, runningrawaroundaustralia.com. and rawcancurecancer.com. I'll put links to her sites and to her books below this video. And again, I just love this interview we've done. I'm so excited to get it out. So thank you.
Oh, it's been such fun. Can I just correct? It's rawcancure.com.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did I say?
Yeah, you added in the cancer, but that's
Raw Can Cure. Okay, rawcancure.com. Can you see the sun setting? So I got the blinds like coming across my face.
That. You've got beautiful sun stripes at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, Janette, thank you. That's probably the 5th time I've said it. Super excited to get this out, and we will stay in touch.
We absolutely will. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.